Welcome back, everyone. This is Austin with 2F Tactical on our From the Vault series featuring interesting, historical, and unusual firearms that come through our shop. We try to stick to the historical ones because those are the coolest, at least in my opinion, and we've had a lot of really cool ones to come through. But we do want to bring you some modern weaponry and some unique weaponry as well, so it will be a mixture of all of that. And I've had a lot of requests. Austin, why won't you show off the machine guns? We know you got them. That is true, we have them. And truthfully, I couldn't come up with a good reason, other than the fact that I try to highlight the ones that come through our shop first, because those go up for sale, so they aren't here very long. We want to make sure we feature those and show those off to you guys when we get those first. Well, today I have an opportunity to show you one of the machine guns. We have here a Cobra Ingram designed Mac 11-9, 9mm Mac 11, if you will. So with it loaded, it would look like that. You've seen these in movies and in video games ad nauseum, especially out of the 80s and early 90s. They were originally designed, the Mac 10s, the first variant of these, were designed in the 1960s in 45 ACP to be for military use for the submachine gun needs of the U.S. military, I guess I should say. So mostly special forces was the idea. So these are all threaded, and they were equipped with suppressors. Now, I don't have one on this one because I actually don't have one for this yet. The suppressors for the Mac series are actually massive by suppressor standards today. They're about this long. They're about this big. That was designed so that would give you something to hold on to. As you can see, there's not a lot of grip here. There's been some cheats where they'll put like a strap here that you just hold on to. Of course, you got the stock that folds down and out like that, which helps, but it's really kind of a pistol grip design is the idea. Because these are ineffectively a pistol. That is what they are. They are not a, they're a submachine gun, which would be like a pistol caliber carbine, if you will. There are some drawbacks to this. So Ingram starts a company, the Military Armament Company, and post-World War II, post-Korea, the United States was looking for a replacement for the Thompson submachine gun and the M3 grease gun, which were predominantly what we had in those two conflicts. The unfortunate reality was we didn't really have a better one by the time Vietnam kicked off. So early on, and even throughout the war, they do pop up the World War II era SMGs, the M3s and the Thompson submachine guns. We experimented with a few others, the Madsden M50, the Swedish K, the Smith & Wesson 76. We do have a Madsden M50 that we'll show off for you here in the near future. Very, very excited to bring that to you. So we did experiment with a few of them. Now, this particular version came along in 1972. It was prototyped in 64 and 65, but the 45 ACP was the first variant, the Mac 10. The U.S. military did buy some of them. But the truth is, no one really liked them that much. These are wildly inaccurate. That's the first problem. The suppressor is cool and all, but, you know, sound suppression on a submachine gun is great. It can be done. It's still loud. It's not like the movies. And the main thing you want is the ability to hit your target. And these struggle with that. They're relatively short barrels. I mean, the barrel is only about that long. Okay, so relatively short barrel. The Mac 10 isn't much longer. From the 45 ACP's perspective, it's a relatively slow round that drops off pretty quickly. 9mm does fly a little bit better, which is why these were invented. A little bit more controllable. The fire rate for these is probably the largest complaint. So this is a post-86 dealer law enforcement only machine gun. That just for a little bit about machine gun law, we have a video on the NFA and the 1986 Firearm Owners Protection Act, which banned the addition to the NFA registry to new machine guns. So even though these things were made predominantly before 1986, the reality is if it wasn't on the registry before 1986, it cannot be a transferable machine gun that anyone can own. There are a lot of these that are transferable machine guns. This is not one of them. So we were very fortunate that we have one of these in our inventory. And I can attest that 1,200 rounds per minute rate of fire that's real. We have shot this many times. Even if you're trying, and I've tried to see how little I could get, if I could get it down to like a semi-auto one shot. and I could not. The most I could get it down was like 2 or 3 rounds with one trigger pull. That's how fast it is. Just to put that in perspective, that's roughly how fast the MG42 from Germany was shooting. They called that the buzzsaw because it shot so fast, and it was the fastest shooting light machine gun of the era, and still kind of is in a lot of ways, because most of the modern ones are copying that design. That's neither here nor there, but that's like what this thing is doing. So you got a 32 round magazine that, it sticks out like that. You're out of bullets in about 2 seconds if you just squeeze and hold. So that's kind of a problem, because you only have so much you can carry. And if you're emptying it that fast and also not hitting anything, it doesn't really do you any good. The other thing about the suppressor was designed where you could hold on to it, but then as with everything, it doesn't tend to warm up. So it becomes a bit of a problem trying to hold on to that. That's why you have the stock and everything, so you would grip it like a handgun, if you will. In terms of muzzle rise, it's not horrible with the stock. We shot it before we put the stock on it, and you virtually couldn't control it. While the muzzle rise wasn't bad, it just jumped all over the place. With the stock and you're bracing it against your shoulder, it helps control this, but still, you need to be pretty close to make this really effective, which is kind of why Special Forces ended up going a different direction. Ultimately, the MP5 would basically replace everything this was meant to do, which is one of the reasons why the Mac company went out of business in the 1980s and was bought out. And I forget who bought it. Cobra. Cobra bought them out. This is one of the Cobra ones. This is not an Ingram. They built some semi-auto variants of this. And that's the other thing. This is not select fire. This is full or semi only. There's no in between. You don't have an option to turn it to a semi. So you're stuck at that 1,200 rounds per minute. That's what you got. The semi-auto variants, they did a couple things. So in 1986, when they banned the machine guns, they also banned open bolt guns, because open bolt guns are readily convertible, or fairly easily convertible into machine guns, or at least that's what they say. Not my words. That's what the ATF and Congress decided. So what that means is that when I have it cocked open like this, it cocks open, and then when you fire it and it goes home, that fires the round as soon as it slams home, and then comes back out, and it'll keep going as I got the trigger down until you're out of ammunition. And then at that point, it will lock open. So I don't have an original metal magazine. I have a plastic one for this. But, it's an interesting design because it's got a peep sight, just a small cutout peep sight with the charging handle on top, kind of Uzi style. So this also competed with the Uzi. The Uzi was a much better weapon. Also one that we'll get to show off to you here in the near future, is we'll have a post-sample Uzi as well. But in order to make the sight apertures work, you have to notch the charging handle so you can see right through it. And it's just kind of a bent up little pin for your front sight. Really nothing to it. These guns show up on the transferable machine gun list quite a bit. These are the MAC-10s, and they're quite popular. So there are transferable machine guns. Kind of a common myth that machine guns are completely banned. They are banned. New ones are banned from the registry. So if it wasn't on the registry before May 19th, 1986, it's not transferable. Like this one, it's a dealer, law enforcement only gun. If it's on the registry before then, anyone can own it as long as you go through the NFA process with the $200 tax stamp, fingerprints, so on and so forth. So one of the cool things about this is it's kind of a slide out design. So I kind of prepped this because it's awfully tight, but it's held in place. The upper is held in place by a capture pin. And I'm going to use the trusty 50 BMG to try to push out this cotter pin from the front. And then it just slides out just like that. I mean, that's everything there. As you can see, the trigger system is just this piece. That piece is just tall enough to catch the back of the bolt, that when you hold it down, it goes away and there's nothing to stop the bolt. It'll keep firing until it's out of ammo, which unfortunately is very quickly in this one. But with that being said, the receiver, there's really nothing here. So if you buy a transferable one of these, they do make chassis systems that get rid of this and turn it into a more traditional modern weapon system. Because the receiver is the machine gun. This is the machine gun part. This is not the machine gun part. This is just an upper. You see these for sale on Gunbroker. Anyone can own this part. This is the part that's the machine gun. So you do see these come up quite often. All of the transferable machine guns, the Mac 11s, Mac 10s, are among the more affordable ones. You know, anywhere from $9,000 to $12,000. The typical machine gun, I'd say the average machine gun price is closer to $20,000 or $30,000 for other variants. But the Max series is among the more affordable, and the fact that they make the chassis systems and because they just come apart this way allows you to have a little bit more flexibility than you would if you just bought a Thompson. Well, it's always a Thompson. Don't get me wrong, extremely cool. Don't have one right now to show you guys. Can't wait till we do. These guns, though, would make some appearances kind of all over the world. Famously, the IRA used these quite a bit. There's also a famous case out of the early 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, if I remember correctly, in England and the UK, where blank firing versions of these were being converted to take live rounds. So these Ingram design Mac 11s. Now, most of those were British versions of this because the company went out of business. They just started making them themselves. It does not appear that they were licensed to do so, but, you know, Mac went out of business. So it is what it is. So you see more of those pop up. There's a really interesting case. I believe it's called Operation Artemis, if I remember correctly, that talks about how some blank firing versions of these ended up in the criminal hands in the UK. That's mostly where these popped up. Unfortunately, in the modern world, these show up in movies a lot, just from the pure perspective of, I mean, first off, they look freaking cool. I mean, especially with the stock expanded, you got the pistol grip come out, and if you got the suppressor on it, I mean, these look cool. They're very stylized, very visually appealing on screen. There was a lot of them around. They did make thousands, tens of thousands of these things, and no one really bought them. And that was kind of the thing. There was a bunch of these that no one really bought. And even when they went out of business, they had all kinds of incomplete versions of these that allowed other, like Cobra and other companies to make semi-auto variants of these. There are some open bolt semi-auto variants of these that they did make. And then there's some closed bolt models that they make using some of the original parts that are out there. But all of those parts are kind of bought up now. There's really not any parts left. Every now and then you'll see an upper from a cut-up version. Unfortunately, like I said, these didn't really have a home. I mean, they're too inaccurate for law enforcement. Law enforcement can't afford to be spray and pray. But also, to be fair, military spray and pray doesn't really work either, because what this was designed for is like CIA special forces, and you need to be precise. And there was better weaponry that became available pretty quickly. The Uzi is a much better weapon system, much longer barrel to start off with, gives it more accuracy, slower rate of fire, much more ergonomical and easy to handle. It has the vertical or the foregrip here on the Uzi, and then the MP5 would come out not too far from the 1972, late 70s, if I remember correctly, from these guys. So again, kind of a gun that fell into no home. There are some countries, because these weren't overtly expensive, some poor countries that, bought some of these, but broadly speaking, they went out of business for a reason, because no one really bought them. But anyway, we did want to show this one off. We have another machine gun that we're going to show off to you on the next video, because why not? It's machine guns. Like I said, I've gotten lots of requests, and I couldn't come up with a good reason as to why not. Like, comment, subscribe. Look forward to seeing you guys. And when we get our indoor shooting range, it'll allow us to kind of fire and show these off a little bit better. And we look forward to that. Till next time, though.